We still have a few more to join us the session. We'll start in another 5 minutes. Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for your participation. I'm Harshni from HTIC's MedTech Incubator hosting the session. So introducing to you the speakers for the day, Mr. Aravind, co-founder of Strebin Healthcare, and Mr. Rahul Ravi Kumar, founder of Biomi Hub. So before starting the session, we've got few questions for polling. Kindly find the link posted in the chat box, click on the link and choose the answer you would prefer to. So the first question, which technology trend will have the greatest impact on our industry in the next year? Option A, IoT. Option B, AR and VR. Option C, machine learning. Option D, humanized big data. Kindly give in your options. So yeah, we are receiving the answers. So the next question, when do you think economic activity would return to the level it was before the pandemic? Option A, Q1 2021. Option B, Q1 2022. Option C, Q1 2023. And option D, not for the next 5 years. So yeah, we are receiving responses for it. Kindly use the link provided in the chat box. This is polling, so we would have the quiz at the end of the session. So this is just a polling questions. So we are still receiving responses for it. Moving on to the next question. What effect will the crisis have on the pace of technology transformation? Option A, accelerate. Option B, not significant. And option C, slow. Yeah, we are receiving responses for it. Moving on to the next question. So working from home works, yes or no? Kindly give in your answers, please. Yeah, we are receiving responses for that. Moving on to the last question. Most important quality of a mentor. Option A, positive attitude. Option B, knowledge and expertise. Option C, emotional support. Option D, guidance and motivation. And option E, teach and train. So yes, thank you all for it. So we will let out the poll results in a few minutes. So before moving into the session, I would like to set some guidelines where I would request all the participants to go on mute and turn on the mic only when you speak. And also, since this is a platform for free flow talk and discussions, anybody can raise questions and provide answers or suggestions or any discussion you would like to come up with. So hence, by doing this, let's keep it a free flow one. And also, as said before, we've got a few interesting things that we will conduct in the end of the session. So we've conducted 5 sessions, and this is the 6th one. We would like to hear some feedback from you. So to make the session a better one, so the link is posted on the chat box, requesting you to kindly fill in the form. So without further delay, let's move into the session. The first speaker for the day is Mr. Arvind, speaking on the topic managing stress while transitioning to unlock. Over to you, sir. Sir, can you hear us? Sir, kindly unmute yourself.
Okay. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Ashini, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Great. Okay. Would it be possible to put up a screen?
Okay. Yes, sir. So you can share your screen now.
Sure. Is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Great. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'll probably start with a couple of points to mention. First of all, I'm not a psychologist or expert in that domain, but my work allows me to interact with a range of psychologists and counselors. So what I'm going to share today with you is probably what I learned from them, plus adding my own reflections to this topic of stress management while we are transitioning into unlock. That's one thing. Another thing I would definitely like to share with you that I'm aware that I think the group here is the young group, and I know you are all part of the startup culture and you are all go-getters. So probably facing stress and challenges in the life is a way of life for all of you. So you may not necessarily need what I would be sharing with you today. However, I think we live in society. There are near and dear ones with us. There are people working in your organizations. There are people who are working with you. So I think we are passing through pretty unusual times. So I request you, all of you, to be on the lookout, be sensitive and aware of what's happening around you. And there could be people who might need help around you. So wherever it is possible, please try to share what I'm sharing with you today. And hopefully that could help few more people. Okay, having said that, looks like I think today we have chosen a wrong day for this topic, because I think we are, at least Chennai, I know, is moving from unlock to lock again today. Irony of the thing. However, I mean, I'm a perpetual optimist, so I think we are eventually going to get into unlock once we finish off the present lockdown period, right? So I think there are a couple of things, as I said, and I'll try to keep this as brief as possible. When we are facing tough times, I think prayer is the way to go. And there is one very apt for the current scenario, which is called a Serenity Prayer, which says, God, grant me serenity, which is calm and aptitude to face the challenges, to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I think the words are crisp, short, and I believe they are self-explanatory. I think this is a time we should not aspire to change things which are completely beyond our control, right? But at the same time, I think if there is in any small way that we can make the change, I think we should not be stopping there. And the crux of the thing is to identifying the difference between what can be changed, what cannot be changed. As we go ahead, I think I will elaborate more on this. Even going further, I think the first and the foremost thing in today's time for us, as well as for the people who are around us, I think we need to take care of ourselves first. I think if we are able to, each one of us, take care of ourselves, protect ourselves from the infection and the implications those follow. I think each one of us are successful to do that. I think that is the point when we would have won over the COVID pandemic. And here I'm listing just the 5 very simple steps. Those should become part of our core daily practice. First and foremost, diet, because any change that is happening, I think, will affect us in a multitude of ways. So I think we need to focus on our diet. I think all of us are today eating home cooked and that kind of a food. I don't have to go much deeper into it. But all the same, I think it is important that we should consume our food at the predetermined time and follow a pattern. Water is another ingredient. Daily exercises, relaxing sleep, and relaxation, which is typically an active relaxation. You relax while you are awake. These are the 5 key steps that we should follow. What this would do is probably give us the resilience to absorb the change and the uncertainty that is around us. Because I'm sure, I think, though we have spent long days at home, and many of us are rearing to go back to the work. But as and when we go to the work, I think it's going to pose a lot of challenges. The protocols are going to change. There are going to be uncertainties around us. We are not going to be sure who is infected, who is not. How are we going to protect ourselves? I think both in this period, the physical as well as the mental resilience and the immunity that comes along with that is going to be essential. These are the 5 key steps that I think will give you immunity as well as the resilience to face the vagaries that we are facing of the current time. Okay, moving on. We all know, I think we had been into our comfort zone, not from the work wise, but the environment point of view until the COVID struck us. And I'm sure all of us have gone through that fear zone because none of us knew what's going to happen, how is it going to pan out, and things like that. We have already gone through that phase. I'm sure all of us are at the second wave of that because once from our regular routine, we went into lockdown. And I think we are trying to come out of the lockdown and try to get back to work and our regular routine. But I think things are not going to be the same they were earlier. And all of us are experiencing is that with good intentions, we went into unlock, and then I think we are again getting back into lock. There are going to be such kind of uncertainties, and then there are going to be associated fears. So I think it's important to understand our emotions and what's happening around us in this period. From fear, I think once we understand our emotions, we need to quickly move into the learning zone. We need to become aware of the situation and we need to think how to act. We need to evaluate what information that is reaching us and what information that we should digest, what is a fake news, what's a false information that is reaching us. That's one. Another thing is how things are going to go. We need to prepare ourselves. I'm sure all of us are going through that. And from there, what is important is we need to move to the growth zone. This is where we need to find out the ways to adapt to new changes, practice quietude, calmness, practice emotional balance, and not restrict it to ourselves. We need to make it available to the people around us, right? We need to make our talents available to those who need it. We need to be proactive to help others. I think these are the very few steps that I thought would be important at the present time. I don't think anything of this was new to all of you, but I just took this opportunity to kind of go over them one more time so that we remember them once again and hopefully bring them into the practice. Thank you. That's about it from my side. I'm open for the questions now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So we will have questions after we have Mr. Rahul speak now, sir. So yeah, moving on to the next speaker, I now invite Mr. Rahul Ravi Kumar to share his insights on the topic, unique opportunities that could arise post-COVID. Over to you, sir.
Hello, everyone. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. So good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well during these crazy times, especially in this lockdown. Within the lockdown, we kind of have to find a way to get past these quite unique times. Thank you, Arvind sir. Whatever you spoke is really, really important. It's one managing stress is one of the most important things now, especially with some Bollywood celebrities committing suicide and a lot of people having issues dealing with mental health. That's a really, really important area. What I want to talk about, first I'll introduce myself. I'm Rahul Ravi Kumar. I'm from Biome Hub. We are an early stage startup working in the area of microbiome technologies. I've always had a big interest in how innovation happens and the drivers of innovation. And I do believe that this particular event, this entire global pandemic, is an opportunity that we can't not use, and failure to not use this particular opportunity might be pretty consequential for us. What I mean by that, right? So, of course, the first order of business now is to survive this pandemic, survive physically, survive mentally, survive financially. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have spoken about those aspects of it. But what I am more interested in it interested in, and something that has been growing stronger in my mind that I would like to discuss, is how this pandemic and this black swan event, like an event that happens like once in a very, very long time, that changes the way we do things and it changes society, can impact us, and how we can take advantage of that. So a little bit about my background. I finished biotech in Anna University in 2010, and I've had like two distinctive careers now. Like one for about 5 to 6 years in America, working in the startup ecosystem over there, and then once, like, I really enjoyed that in the melting pot of innovation in the bioscience field. And about 4 years back, I had to move back to India to because of some family issues, to take care of my family business. Like they say, you move from, people talk about jumping from a frying pan to the fire. This was the exact opposite, jumping from a melting pot and a frying pan to the ice age, a 40-year-old family business, which is very, very, very resistant to change, which is slow to take up new ideas, because they've been doing things in a particular way for a really long time, and they never found a need to change. Why am I talking about this? Because this is very important. A lot of India is very, very, very resistant to change. The good part about, or like the silver lining from something like an event like this, is that it forces a lot of people to change, forces a lot of people to think of new ways to adapt to change. As entrepreneurs, as young entrepreneurs, change is a good thing, because the status quo of the entire world has been shaken, and people are trying to find new ways to like do things in the old ways, because the old ways just don't work anymore. So every time there is a change, there is an opportunity for us to fill in the gap. And our healthcare system has been like pretty badly exposed. We're not really, no one in the world is really good at accepting that there is a problem. But right now, the problems are right there in the open. So when the problems are accepted, it is easier to change, and it's easier to find a solution. And it's up to us as like an entrepreneurial society to take advantage of this and change society and change a lot of things for good. And there are also a lot of other factors, right? So like the job market is going to be down. There is not going to be too many opportunities to go abroad either. So right now, innovation is not like a choice like before. It's a necessity. Like they say, uh, uh, the necessity is a mother of all invention. Now we don't have a choice. Like for us to even survive, we have to innovate, and we can't not take advantage of this moment. And on top of that, India is like pretty well placed in terms of a lot of things, right? Like I'm 30 years old now, and almost half our country are younger than I am. So we have like a thriving workforce, which is pretty significant. And how we use it and how we uh, take advantage of that right now in times where it's going to change quite significantly is going to determine uh, how our futures are going to be. And this is not something that this is not an opportunity that comes to too many generations. I feel this is something that is pretty unique and something that we really, really need to take advantage of. And there is always a historical perspective to this, right? So I just started looking up like how a lot of businesses were changing, and what was the impact of like a 2008 financial crisis, like the last previous crisis. And quite a lot of companies came out of that and changed the ecosystem. For example, Airbnb, Uber, Venmo, Slack, and all those companies started uh, right after the financial crisis, because they were trying to adapt to change and give a particular solution to help people adapt to change. Like an Airbnb before that would never have worked. Like Uber has changed, like Uber is getting into problems now, but Uber changed the way urban mobility was mobility was seen. Like nobody had to buy a new car anymore. You can buy a new car or a new bike. You can just use it. Like everything became pay-per-use. So I see a lot of problems coming up, and a lot of solutions need to be found by us as entrepreneurs, because there are more problems, the more the need for a solution. And there is a window that is opening up for a lot of us, which did not exist before, because people were so resistant to change, like how my family business was for a really long time. And now there is no choice. People have to change, and there is no way around it. And it's up to us to find new technologies and new ways to fill in this gap and somehow take it forward, because the cost of not doing this is like pretty significant. That's pretty much what I had to share. It's just my opinion on things on this particular topic, which has been going on in my head for a really long time. I would like to know some of your views depending on this topic.
So yes, thank you, Rahul. Over to the floor. If anybody would like to raise questions or come up with any discussion, we welcome you. Anybody willing to come up with any questions? Yeah, okay. We have Mr. Raj from IITM Research Park. Sir, if you could share the initiatives that the Research Park has taken at the awake of COVID crisis. Kindly share a few words, sir.
Yeah, hi. Do you hear me?
Yeah, yes, sir, we can hear you.
Excellent. Thank you for the opportunity. And good evening, everyone. I'm very happy to be here in this digital cafe today. And in terms of where Research Park is and what we've done in terms of how we are helping our clients manage through this the disruption that we're all facing, there are quite a few things done here. In terms of the process, where you want to make the place safe, you want to make the place as good as possible for people to come in and operate during the time they want to operate. There are a few clients that are completely operational in the Research Park now. There are a few clients that come occasionally. There are a few clients that come in between, if you will. So we want to make sure that we follow the general government guidelines in order to sanitize the place. For example, digitally measure the temperature of the people getting in, for example, and providing for sanitizers and the restrooms spick and span as possible. Those are from an infrastructure perspective, those are things that we have done, and we continue to do that, and we'll monitor the same. And as things change, we will new guidelines come in, we'll be certainly be there to implement them and make sure that the Research Park is as safe a place as possible for people to come in and work and innovate. The main purpose of the Research Park, as you all know, is a place where there is a lot of networking happening, a lot of people coming together, talking, and as a result of which they get answers to their questions. Sessions like these are very useful as well. So as part of these kinds of interactive sessions, these are remote sessions, obviously, but then in the Research Park, if you come in, you want to obviously maintain your social distancing, your hand washing, hygiene, and wearing a face mask, for example. Those are certainly things that we encourage and we want to ensure. And from a client operational perspective as well, we know that a few clients that have been disrupted, their operations have been disrupted because of the situation. They have employees that have been remote. They have employees that have not been able to come back to work due to personal situations or the government issued restrictions and stuff like that. So we are trying to do whatever we can to help our clients in providing them more time, for example, to pay their bills, absorbing some of the charges, if you will, that would make them a little more comfortable, given the situation where there is a cash flow challenge today among most of the companies, because the entire economy has been disrupted, and for the past 2, 3, 4 months, things have really been in a state of flux. No one exactly know what's going to happen. A lot of speculations, but we continue to remain optimistic. We want to make sure that as people come in, we make as safe as possible for people to work and innovate, do research, commercialize, and current situation with this whole concept of Atmanirbhar Bharat, we want to make sure that research focused on commercialization, indigenization, or import substitution, those things happen, and the MedTech incubator has been in the forefront of most of these as well. And we want to continue that. We want to make things better for everyone. And we'll certainly look to hear your feedback. The things that we can do better, do let us know. And we'll be glad to look into those and see what we can do to implement those. That's pretty much it from my side. Thank you again for the opportunity there, Sumitra.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. We've also got Ms. Satyapriya. Ma'am, would you like to add on to what Mr. Raj has told?
Hello, hi. You can hear me?
Hi, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I think almost he has covered all the things like at Research Park, like safety is the first thing we follow. So much of social distancing is done there, and we have around 30 clients coming over there. So just all of you be safe and just keep assured that Research Park is a safe place this time to come and work, and we are taking care of that. Yeah.
Sorry, I got disconnected. I've come back now.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So there is one question in the chat box by ASR. Sir, would you like to unmute yourself and ask the question? Okay, so no mic. So yeah, I would ask you questions. Is there a networking program to brainstorm, identify problems to come up with solutions? Yeah. Yeah, people are from different fields, and so if anybody would like to answer the question.
Hi, ASR. I'm Pratishta, also part of the incubator. So I'm not sure if it's an exactly a brainstorming session, but we are also conducting a lot of other programs like the Knowledge Tuesday and Ask Me Anything Thursday. And the Digital Cafe is supposed to be a seamless, just share your thoughts kind of informal platform. So if you're looking for more technical sessions and also looking to understand what are the kind of crises people are going through and some innovative ideas people are coming up with, you might want to join our sessions on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That might be of help. I hope that answers your question.
So yes, thank you, Pratishta. Anybody else who would like to come up with any questions? So yeah, we've got one question from Yash. Yash, would you like to unmute yourself and ask the question, please?
Hello, can you
Yeah,
hear me?
hi Yash. Yeah.
Hi. So my question is to Rahul that he mentioned about his family business resistant to change. So like any specific changes he could make which have been helpful now during this time, if he could share.
Yes, can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, Rahul. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, uh, so this time has been like relatively hard in general, but I can share like some of the issues that we faced with over a period of time, which kind of was helpful in fixing to solve some of the issues that we're facing now. So usually, like what the main thing was financial, right? So like a lot of issues was tending towards like how the finances were managed, and a lot of it was a cash flow problem. And in general, there is in India, like the hardest thing is to get payments from your clients, which is like, which just adds to your liquidity issues. So one thing that over the last, because our business is like a 40-year-old business, like it did not function the way it used to function a while ago. So most important thing that we did in the last 2-3 years is to like disinvest and reduce some of our like financial loads and increase our liquidity, which right now is being like probably one of the biggest boons that can be there, because there is no way that we would have survived with the financial load that we had at that point. So that's probably the only thing. Other than that, right now, especially right now, it is a pretty hard time. Like, I don't think anybody's really going to pay. Clients are not going to pay for at least few more months. Usually on a normal day, they don't, but now it's just going to be like even worse. So trying to reduce general expenses is probably the most important thing right now. And also there's this massive uncertainty about not knowing when this is going to end, right?
So yes, thank you, Rahul. Hope that answered Yash's question. So there is one more question from ASR to Arvind sir. What are the problems you foresee in the immediate future in your field or solutions you are contemplating?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so at least as far as we are concerned, we are in the area of stress management. So I think as of now, we are caught between the whatever age and the valley kind of a thing, mainly because today stress and stress management has become a very, very important area. However, people will have to reach out to their social network or the professionals and things like that, right? And I think so far, historically, people haven't been doing this. And all of a sudden, all of us have been thrown into this new kind of an situation. And people are going to find it very difficult to find a path out of this situation. We are trying our best to reach out to maximum number of people, making them aware about the avenues where they can seek help, how they can seek help, and things like that. But I think we are facing a challenge that there aren't enough avenues to reach out to people, and people also are yet still not opened up. So that's a immediate challenge that we are seeing. We don't see this situation will change very, very rapidly, but obviously it has to change out of the compulsion and things like that, which we are seeing happening around us. So those are the challenges, I think, as far as our field is concerned. Apart from that, we are a business as any other business. So I think from business point of view, again, those are the challenges. The first and the foremost challenge is uncertainty. And that uncertainty revolves around, in the current situation, who is going to respond how. I think people haven't really yet decided that each one of us, how are we going to respond to this? Most of us are in wait and watch and survival kind of a mode. And because of this, anybody I am collaborating, I am working with somebody else, probably he is also in a guess mode as to how, if his work depends on my work, or if my work depends on somebody else, I'm still guessing how he is going to respond, or my collaborator is still guessing how am I going to respond. And I'm waiting for a situation to give me a little more clarity to define my response. So I think uncertainty is the biggest challenge as of now.
So yes, thank you, sir. So we've got Siddhant Gupta from Anti-COVID Glove Solution. So would you like to share some of your experience during the COVID situation, sir? Mr. Siddhant, are you able to hear us? So yeah, that's fine. So we've got Professor Rahul also from VIT. So sir, can we know like how VIT is coping up during the crisis?
Yeah, good evening. Thank you, Sumitra, for the opportunity. So VIT is currently managing with the people is surrounded in the Vellore, and we given the location-based level of the support to the institutes. It's 50% of the employees we are switching the alternate days, and then we are handling for this the whatever the regular activities through online mode to all our these students. We are maintaining the strict guidelines by the Government of India. So all the employees are the thermal scanning, and also they follow the social distancing, and individual cabins with the faculty only are allowed to work within the premises. And everything is pretty happening with the online mode, and all over the academic level of the process. Now we are strengthening through the digital infrastructure.
Thank you, sir. So yeah, Siddhant Gupta is back. So sir, can you share a few words on how you would like how you are handling the situation? Kindly unmute yourself. Think this maybe a couple of other chat on some any anything you want to discuss on your
Yeah, this is Dr. Arumari from VIT Vellore. I want to ask one specific question to Mr. Ravi. He addressed about the stress management in this COVID-19 situation. How we were going to address on the wellness of the people during this the pandemic situation.
Okay. I think probably we need to have a two-pronged program here. One, as I briefly mentioned in my presentation, is the self-care. I think those who have ability to kind of understand the situation around them and digest and probably find out a way, both the self-care, the points that I mentioned there, plus I think being sensitive to our own environment, that could be one strategy. The second strategy is probably connecting the professional or the specialist who are working in this area with the masses. The stress and the mental health is definitely a very, very important area. Just I mentioned in the answer to the previous question, I think though it has been acknowledged that mental health is so important, I think there hasn't been the mechanism for people to reach out to the professional, like the way we see it happening for the other medical kind of a conditions. So I think the second way of handling this situation is to create a mechanism by which the professional help can reach out to the larger group of people wherever the need is. Having said that, I think in this present situation, the digital technology and the online reaching out is going to play a very, very important role. I think it's going to help both in creating the awareness and connecting the people to the professionals wherever the help is needed.
Thank you, Arvind. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So on the chat box. Now let's move on to the poll results. So for the first question, which technology trend will have the greatest impact on our industry in the next year? So IoT and machine learning have got the same percentage. So would anybody like to comment on it? So yeah, we can then move on to the next question. When do you think economic activity returned to the level it was before pandemic? So it was Q1 2021. So we've got the most polling for it. So would anybody like to share your thoughts on it? The people who have voted for it, or anybody who would like to share your thoughts? Okay, so moving on to the next one. What effect will the crisis have on the pace of technology transformation? And so Accelerate has got the highest polling. Anybody would like to comment? So yeah, the next one. Working from home works, yes or no? So we've got the maximum number of polling for yes. So I think most of them are comfortable working from home, having a nice time from home too. So would anybody like to comment on it? Okay, so moving on to the last question, I guess.
Yeah, just one point we would like to take care is how effective the work from home. That is the most important aspects in the pandemic situation. Are we justifying for our the responsibilities?
So just to add, I think it's very important to look at productivity at the same time to see how we can make ourselves productive as well. Some of the sectors I probably can work from home and it probably works better, especially for IT and software related stuff. But when you're working on hardcore innovation and hardware stuff, it gets a little difficult because you don't have access to resources. I think in those cases, work from home might not be very effective. But I think once you get into a routine, I think discipline is very important when you're working from home.
Yes, Pratisha, it's absolutely correct. And when you're working on the deep tech technologies and also for the production connected activity and the fabrication connected activities, so we need to get into the workspace.
Absolutely, sir. So I think those things might be a bit difficult because accessing those things at this time is very difficult. You cannot really choose a startup who can go and who cannot go. So it's very hard to manage that part.
Yeah.
And can you hear me? So I have a question. Yeah. So any tips on like maintaining the velocity of the team? So so since the lockdown, right? So we do not have much of a physical connect, and so every single piece of work is like either via chat or via email or a phone call. And there has been observation that so at most part of the week, like there has been a drop in velocity. The time at which people sort of respond back with the kind of chunk of work that's handed over. So is that a common observation, or any tips to handle that? Of course, like we have touch points and other things, but just wanted to hear your thoughts.
Let me respond to that. You're asking if the productivity has dropped because people are working from home? Is that what you asked? It's not clear.
Yeah, so my question is precisely about the velocity at which they respond back, right? So whatever that's planned for the day, that's getting done. But so how much time do they actually take to complete it? So there has been a drop.
I think to answer your question is quite simple. It depends on who's running the organization. If the leadership is effective, you would see the HTIC incubator, the response would be almost instant. So I think it depends on the direction of the team and who's leading the team. So I think that's primarily a leadership issue. It's not an individual issue.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not ready for that, but I think we can move on.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So moving on to the next question. Which is the most important quality for a mentor? So guidance and motivation has got 83% polling. So anybody who would like to raise your comments on it, like any mentors or anybody else who would like to share your thoughts on this? So yeah, that's the end of the polling. So we've got just a few minutes left. So we can start the quiz now. So this activity would be carried out every week, and in this quiz, so every correctly answered question would carry a point each, and by the end of fourth week, the person who gets the highest point will be given a gift coupon. So this was conducted the last week too, and this is the second week. So we'll put up the questions, and kindly mention your answers A, B, C, or D in the chat box. And the person who gives the correct answer first will be given the point. So shooting out to you the first question. Medical condition that ranks first in terms of health risk worldwide. Option A, high blood pressure. Option B, obesity. Option C, high blood glucose. And option D, physical inactivity. So yeah, the first is by Mr. Siddhant Gupta. It's option A. So moving on to the next question. India's startup ecosystem is dash in the world. Second largest, third largest, fourth largest, or fifth largest? I guess we've not got the right answers for it. Anybody else who would like to answer? So yeah, so I think I'll tell out the answer. So it's option A, second largest. The third question, across the world, where are people living healthier lives? Option A, Africa. Option B, Southeast Asia. Option C, Europe. And option D, America. So yeah, the answer was given by Mr. Yash. It was option C. So moving on to the fourth question. Global leader in health technology development with a market size of roughly $120 billion. Is it option A, United Kingdom, option B, USA, option C, Canada, or option D, India? So yeah, the answer was again given by Mr. Yash. It's option C, Canada. So moving on to the fifth question. Indian healthcare market is estimated to grow to dash by 2020. Option A, $125 trillion. Option B, 133 trillion. Option C, 176 billion. Option D, 198 billion. So yeah, it was again answered by Yash. So yeah, thank you all for answering our questions. So reminding you again about the feedback form. We've put up the link in the chat box. So kindly enter the link and requesting you to fill in so that we would get a better one again for the next time. So for the fourth question, the answer is option B. So the global leader in health technology development with a market size of roughly $120 billion is option B. So if I mentioned this wrong answer back that time, sorry for that. Requesting all the participants to also kindly fill in the feedback. So thank you all for joining us this evening. I would like to thank my colleagues Archana Balin and Sumitra for helping me at the back end. So thank you all for joining us today. Hope you would have a good evening. Have a good weekend. Thank you all.